Hi, this is Dr. Newhart with Science Based Body, and this is the Economic Fitness Podcast channel. On this channel, we are going to provide you with ways to keep your body and mind in top peak physical condition in an environment of sedentary work environments. It is our perspective that blood flow is equal to cash flow. And if you cut off the blood flow, you cut off the cash flow. We hope you enjoy our information. Hi, everyone. This is the Economic Fitness Podcast channel, and I am Dr. Newhart. We have a great guest today. He's actually a good friend of mine. We've known each other about a year. It's been a great relationship so far, and he's got a great story. He's actually an entrepreneur, and he's been highly successful doing several businesses over his lifetime, and he is still a young man, so to me, that's very interesting as well. So I would like to welcome Drew Wilson to the show. Drew, it's great to see you this morning. Thanks for being here.
No, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And this is my first time doing a podcast, so I'm excited.
Well, so on this, and I know maybe I shared the channel, maybe I didn't, but on this channel, I like to talk to people that are highly successful, especially in business, because business is something that takes a lot of, guts, skills, endurance, however we want to throw it out
Absolutely.
there. So I like to get an idea of what people do, what kind of a strategy they have to stay on the path and start the businesses and keep the businesses going, and then even selling, buying, all those things. It's interesting just to hear about. So tell me, just if you want to, go into your background.
Yeah, it's real funny. Everybody has a different motivation, right? It's like, hey, some people just woke up and they're just they just go after it. They just solve problems. Mine was a little different story. My mom had me when she was 17 years old. Low-income housing, government cheese. The difference is my mom was extremely embarrassed to have to take any type of government aid. So from a very young age, I knew, like, for example, you do not want to take from other people. It's all about giving back. Even when we didn't have money, it was like we were donating time at the animal shelter or this or that. So as I got a little older, what I realized is that, I hated when somebody said, you can't do this or you can't do that. And I just realized real young, and my mom always said this, if you want something, listen, you got to go out and get it. So anyway, from selling candy bars and all that stuff, just growing my confidence, going out door to door, selling candy bars, I finally realized it's like, all right, I can work for somebody else, or I can go after this and create my own destiny. So my entire 1.0, I know I'm rambling a little bit, but my 1.0 was filled with insecurities. And it was not insecurities as like in myself, but it was always about not wanting to go back. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to go back. And most people are like, well, what does that mean to you? To me, it's like, it's a mentality. Being in low-income housing, being around people, and I'll tell you a little story. I know I'm going off on a tangent, but I remember a group of kids. We were all friends, different backgrounds, different ethnicities, but we're all really, really tight. And we're going around and we're talking about who pays the least amount in rent. And it was funny, we're all going around and there were guys, and I say guys, their families were paying about $19 a month in rent. That was their equivalent. And we got to mine, and I think my mom was paying like $280. And I just remember the kids going, oh my God, I can't believe she's paying that much. Yeah. Why would she be paying this much? Like she should be getting it for free. Yeah. And I just remember this mentality of like, first of all, you have to realize my mom set a baseline. I'm embarrassed to take any aid. And so my 1.0, going back to like being so fearful of going back to that mentality, I just said I did whatever it took. I worked 7 days a week. My goal at that point was to do what I want, when I want, whenever I want, with whom I want, when I was 40 years old. Uh-huh. I achieved that 25 days after I turned 41. And so I'm now 45. I've taken the last several years off and have come to the realization, when you have a talent of bringing people together and creating a vision, you got to go for it. So I'm actually starting my 5th company. And I look forward to growing that to a multi-million-dollar business. My goal there is, based on the territory that I have, I'll grow to a $50 million business in the next 3 to 5 years. Excellent. And I'm excited.
Well, congratulations on all that. Let's just step back and address what's been said already, because I'm interested a lot of there. Yeah. It does, because I try to link the personality types of people that end up being super successful.
Yep.
I think something that is always there's a great heart and you care about others. Nothing really gets done unless you care and want to help others. It's always great having the goal of saying, by the time I'm X age, I would love that too. Hey man, I just want to take a couple of years off. That'd be nice.
Yep.
And think about what the next, enterprise is to bring to the population. But it always seems as if everybody's got a good heart. Even your mom, she didn't, where did it come from her? She didn't want to take from others. And that moves, when you don't want to take from others, that moves you 10 leaps ahead forward to be successful in business, I think.
It goes back to leadership, right? I mean, you set the vision, but if you get people on your team, the number one thing is you have to understand what motivates them. If it's all about you, you can't grow a team. You should be playing tennis, right?
Yeah, sure,
literally, go out and play an individual. Exactly. So, my entire background, I played basketball and baseball my entire life. Sure. So I was always around team sports, and you have to understand what motivates other people. So going back to that, the caring aspect, I just go back to, when I exited my last company, the coolest day, yes, I did very well. I hit my goal, but the coolest thing is seeing everybody else that became millionaires on that day.
Yeah.
And I want to be very clear, because I'm sure there's going to be other people out there that says, you became this on that day. No, all it means is that it was a transfer of where your wealth was already located.
Sure.
So it was tied up in the business. Now you had liquidity. The wealth side doesn't change. Mm-hmm. It's just the liquidity aspect does.
Yeah.
But it was the best feeling of my life. So whenever I talk to other entrepreneurs and you hear these people like, I owned 100% of it. And then you look at those people that have exited and you talk to them 10 years down the road, because I do a lot of mentorship. I'm on several different boards. Mm-hmm. You hear the regret. There's a sense of guilt.
Because keeping it all for themselves.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because ultimately, I can't do it by myself.
Right.
If I could, it's boring. It's very, very lonely at the top. I mean, when you're up there, when you're grinding it out, and if you think you can do everything yourself, I've learned very young. My first 3 businesses, I thought I could do everything. As I matured and realized, I actually suck at most things.
Yeah,
I really do. I suck at most things. And
all of us are only good at really probably one thing.
Seriously, and if you're 2, it's like, okay. I mean, there's some people that are pretty good at certain things, but I actually suck at most things. But what I am good at is defining a vision on where to go, and hiring better people and getting them on board, and incenting them appropriately according to like what their needs and wants are. So going back to the whole being open and giving and loving, absolutely, it's. Just like anything in business, though, there's that sense of giving, but then there's also like, hey, it is a business. You got to set the right expectations, but we win together. Yeah, which means we also lose together. And if people, kind of going off on a tangent, but if people aren't holding up their end of the bargain, I've realized you got to address it quickly.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And I used to be so deathly afraid of conflict. I'm not afraid of conflict. At the end of the day, all of that does is you blow up. Mm-hmm. Conflict, you don't need to blow up. You could have a conversation and be like, hey, I'm disappointed in this. Here's what I'm lacking. And in exchange, I'd want people to come to me. So I always say this, in my meetings, I love Knights of the Round Table. And the reason why I love a round table aspect is at the end of the day, at that table, there is no leader. Mm-hmm. Yes, I might be the CEO of the company. Yes, I might set the vision, but guess what? Everybody plays a huge, huge role. And again, going back to the whole adage, I suck at most things. It's an incomplete without my team. And so
teams are huge, I think. You have to, and I love when we're talking on this channel, I love to address and give people tips. It's not impossible. You want to assess yourself. You want to say, am I selfish or am I selfless? And then truly understanding what that means, because I think most people can care more about others than themselves. And the second that they do that, they're going to at least shift. They're going to shift their personality more towards whatever they want to accomplish. I do think a lot of people want to accomplish big things.
Absolutely.
But you have to shift. You have to say, it's about others, it's not about me, and then become selfless. And by the time that happens, then you can start seeing your visions of what you want to do, what you want to accomplish.
I don't disagree with the selfless versus selfish. I think there's a fine line, though. I know a lot of, that old adage, good guys finish last.
Yeah.
And you have to understand, I go back to, you're on an airplane, you're about to crash, and that quote unquote, that person who's altruistic, they'll take it and they'll put the oxygen on their neighbor, and then they pass out and die, or somebody else can't help them. Yeah. So there's got to be a fine line. It's like you have to take care of yourself first.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Period. End of story. Anybody who says differently, from my perspective, will end up not being happy in life, because ultimately you have to take care of yourself. You have to take care of your house. That means, family, yourself, and then once that happens, then the selfless can come in and be like, okay, I have the foundation, because the foundation is you.
Yeah.
Once that foundation's set, then you could help others.
Right.
But I see so many times where people take that other approach. Their foundation isn't even solid, and they're helping others. And you're like, well, what happened to where'd your money go? Well, I gave to this organization, that organization. And you're like, but you're malnourished.
Yeah.
You're not sleeping well.
Yeah.
Like, why do you feel the need to be like, to do this? Because you're actually doing yourself more harm.
Sure.
And long story short, my prior business partner was the same way. Like, and Joseph Fresky, he passed away about 18 months ago, really, really personal friend of mine. And he had a very selfless style to it. And he's like, man, I want to help, a ton of people, and which was awesome. And I said, that's great, but you do understand your skill set. You personally can only help so many.
Yeah.
I said, but if you become a leader, think about what that aspect can do to so many more people. Like, if you focus on your true efforts, and it was great to see his mentality kind of switch and say, okay, I'm now doing X. I'm focusing on what I can do, and now I have. Not only can I donate my time and energy, but now I'm spreading the word and talking about other people's in that organization, and or giving more money back, because he's actually focusing on things that truly matter versus just focusing 100% on others. So it's a fine line, and I don't know. I'm sure I'm probably gonna get beat up over saying that, but I'm a firm believer in you got to have the right foundation. Once that's set, it's amazing what you can accomplish when you focus on what matters most.
A common response that I get from every single person that I interview is that exactly. There has to be the you time. You have to take care of yourself, and so it's like you have to make time for that in your life, wherever it is, and whatever it is you're doing. A lot of the time it's just exercise, which is what I want to get to, by the way.
Yes,
I want to talk about that. I want to talk about your routine. And then some of the tools that you and I have been looking into in the future that maybe we feel will help with this, because
Absolutely.
You've thrown a lot my way, I've thrown a lot your way about what we think is going to be a solution here.
Yep.
But so you have to take care of yourself. I think there's a common theme amongst every single person that's an entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
They do something for themselves. But so let's talk about you for a second and your exercise routine.
Yes.
Let's talk about mental, physical.
Totally.
What's your entire routine to stay?
Hey, listen, so you got to talk about 1.0, right? So 1.0, obviously I filled with insecurities, and I remember when I was 39, I was right before I turned 40 years old, I was waking up with really, really bad brain fog. Couldn't make decisions. Things that used to come easy to me were really, really difficult.
Sure.
And I didn't know what to do. I guess it was my great-grandmother, not my guess. I only knew her this is from a childhood. So downside is my grandmother passed away before my great-grandmother did. So they passed away within 6 months of each other. Yeah. But she had dementia. So here I am, 39 and a half years old, and I was getting really bad brain fog. And I didn't realize this. I stumbled across this article, and I thank God. Things come into your life. He shows you signs all the time, and you either accept it or you deny it.
Right.
This is one that came into my life, and it was like type 3 diabetes, dementia, and Alzheimer's. And this is very, very important for everybody who listens to this, because there are certain triggers. So you've got inflammation, right? You've got toxicity, and then you've got hormone/mineral imbalances.
Right.
And for me personally, it was actually inflammation, which was caused by sugar and this whole type 3 diabetes. And you can look at, they can actually take laboratory rats and basically give them dementia with literally simply just giving them the American diet.
Oh yeah.
So I think it's a blessing and a curse for me. So going back to like, what is my regimen? Like I read that article, I immediately cut sugar out of my diet. And by the way, I was a sugarholic. I don't know the exact grams I was eating a day, but let's just say it would be wouldn't be uncommon for me to, if there were gummy worms or whatever, any type of sugar thing, I would tear it up and eat it consistently. Because again, at that point, it was like all about low fat, right? Low fat's good. So that's by the way, that's done more detrimental things to our body than anything else.
True.
So I immediately cut out, and I didn't do it to lose weight, but I was always working out. That was one thing throughout my entire life. I always worked out. I just didn't realize what diet really had. In your 20s, you don't care what you eat. You just work out and you're fine.
And your body can heal faster.
Totally.
And that's also an interesting topic to discuss. We're eating the bad stuff when we're young. Our body's healing fast enough so we don't notice it. But then we're addicted to it. And then when it starts to matter, you can't stop.
Without a doubt, it's so crazy.
Silly.
You go into like gut bacteria, and there's that whole thing that your gut bacteria is sending triggers to your brain.
Yeah.
So at 39, got off sugar. Within I wouldn't even say 6 weeks. I'd say within 3 to 4 weeks, the brain fog went away. I was shocked. I'm like, whoa, this is really, really fascinating. So from there, I started reading more, figuring out what else is out there? Like, what else can I be doing? Mm-hmm. So then I added resveratrol, turmeric, and all these other antioxidants to my diet, omega-3s, things of that nature. And then what I also started realizing is that, I wasn't doing as much cardio as I needed to. So I added more cardio in, started getting away from heavier weights because I noticed that was putting too much stress in my diet. I think every guy goes through a point where they're like, I want to be big. You know?
Yeah.
Now I'm very thankful. Yes, I am lean, but I feel good. I can.
Hey, you look great. So
it's all about how you feel. So now, listen, now 2.0, last couple of years I've taken off. My 2.0, like I said, 1.0 is filled with insecurities. My 2.0 is an amazing adventure with purpose. And I know what my purpose is. My purpose is bringing great people together and creating jobs. Like, I love America. I love Texas. I am a transplant from California. And anyway, I love this state. I should have been here. I should have been born here. And I am so excited about contributing to this wonderful country called Texas. Yeah. I did say country. So anyway, so that is my purpose. And now it's like I'm going back to a new regimen. So before, Steve, you know this, you'd see me kind of all throughout the day. And that will probably continue to happen as things come up. But now it's going back to regimen. Wake up at 6, be here, work out, committing myself to working hard throughout the day, and then honestly calling an end to it at 5:30. Yeah. My 1.0, I didn't end. Definitely put stress on my relationship. I went through a divorce. A lot of that has to do with my work ethic. Being so scared of, I can't go back. Well, when you're so scared that you can't go backwards, you're not going forwards either. Right. So now it's like, I'm not scared. I am cautiously optimistic. So you always got to look at the downsides. But like from a regiment perspective, it starts off with your mind, body. Your health is wealth, period, end of story. It's like you can have, I guarantee it, when Steve Jobs was on his deathbed, he's like, I'm one of the richest men in the world. And no matter how much money I have, I can't buy more time.
How old was he? I can't remember.
He was in his 50s.
That's too young. That's too early.
It's too early. So I realized this. You have to take care of your health and wealth. And not health and wealth. But it is. It starts with health. And anyway, I regiment, workout, cardio, and really it starts, especially after 30, it's diet. So I try to minimize my carbohydrates and do what I need to do.
On the sugar side, that seems to be a good defining point. Your body became of the age that it could not heal from and so there is what sugar does in your body. But I like to address for people the bleaching process. That is really the most harmful point of sugar. That is just completely untold. but it's completely obvious. If I dumped it out here, it'd be white.
Yes.
Sugar's not white.
Yep.
How to get white? So the bleach literally goes in and diseases the inside of your body. That's why I talk about an age which you cannot heal as fast, because you're healing rapidly when you're young and you're able to fix your cells from the bleach.
Yes.
Right. So, and I was never really big on sugar, luckily. I mean, I'd have it every now and then, and it was like I didn't have it for 2 weeks, and then I would eat a bunch, and then I didn't have it for 2 weeks. You know, one of those types of things. So I never really experienced extreme brain fog, and now I know the truth behind it, so I can cut it out anytime I want to.
Yep.
But that bleach, and it's on flour too. So you got white flour and white white sugar. They're just killing. And if we can, I think a major, a tone that I'm starting to hear through all the interviews and with yourself, if people just understand health fully, they unlock their brain, and then all of a sudden your purpose becomes apparent to you, right?
Absolutely.
And with the purpose and the vision, the focus, you have no time to worry about or think about poor eating. You're just thinking about what's the purpose, what's the goal, what's the focus.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What's fascinating is I don't know much about the bleaching process, to be perfectly honest. So that's a whole nother thing. I look at, my thing was always about insulin levels, right? So when you eat sugar, it spikes, and then you crash, and then it spikes, and then it crashes. So your body's not able to heal. And during that time, that's why fasting is so critical. Like if you're eating 24/7, guess what? Your body never has a chance to rest.
Right.
And your digestive system needs to rest.
Yeah.
And those crashes and burns when people, it's so funny when you see people working out, they're doing tons of cardio, they're not losing weight, they're frustrated. And I get it. Like I was frustrated too until I kind of understood what was really going on. And again, I didn't know about the bleaching side because that's toxicity.
Oh,
that's a whole different thing.
Bad.
But so what I do understand, at least, high level, is insulin.
Yeah.
So when you spike and when you crash, your body will not let go of fat.
Of course.
So it's like when I work out, I'm always in a fasting state. It allows you the prior night to burn through those calories. And if it doesn't, then all of a sudden it's like you continue to put on extra layers. Because if you don't have that extra, you know this as well as I do, when you eat, if your body's not going to use the energy, what does it immediately do? It stores it in fat, triglycerides.
Yeah, and based on our history,
it raises
our
your
ancestry.
Yes.
If we did that. That's what the body is meant to do. We got to store it because what if there's no more food tomorrow?
Absolutely,
we're going to continue to do it.
Fat is a battery. If you really, it's just stored energy. But you want to be able to have it so that your body is able to release it. And the way you do that, from my perspective, and listen, my way of doing things is going to be different than everybody else. Our genetics were probably 99.9% the same person, but it's that 0.1% that really truly define who we are. And that 0.1%, like I might be allergic to X, you might be allergic to Y, and it's just insane at what that does. So I've just, fasting, I introduced to my diet, I want to say probably about 3 years ago. And it's been a game changer for me.
And once you cut sugar out, it's easier to fast. And that's what I like to tell people. Because as people are listening to us right now, they're saying, what? I mean, yeah, I've heard of this stuff, but you don't want me to eat for how long? Hey, after you're not consuming sugar, your body is not falsely hungry. So not eating for a little while, that's not a big deal. And so you cut the sugar out, and you may even call it ketogenic or whatever we want to call it. Natural eating. And then it's easy to shift into a non-eating cycle where you let your body fully rest and recover.
Absolutely. And going back to the whole gut bacteria, there's this whole, I wouldn't say new, but it's newer, because I think I discovered this maybe a couple years ago, that your gut bacteria is controlling your mind. And like if you were eating sugar and like really bad saturated fats, cooked in fried foods, things of that nature, all you're doing is you're just allowing bad gut bacteria to continue to blossom in your gut, and it's doing a huge disservice. And I didn't realize that. This was you're a doctor, I'm an entrepreneur. I go out, I attack, I make things happen, and I didn't really consider my diet until when I was 39 and a half, and I actually, I had pain.
Yeah.
Why do people, it's so funny. I always, I do, not that I'm not a sales guy, I'm an entrepreneur, and there's a big difference. I like to see big picture. Salespeople just like to sell. I can't help everybody. So that's my biggest thing. I can't help everybody. But I will say, when you finally discover that, and I'm kind of lost my train of thought here. I can do that on occasion, going off on tangents. But when you finally discover that health is so important, and your diet, for me personally, it changed my life. Like when I fast, my clarity is 10x versus when I eat. So like right now, I drink black coffee. Some people are like, black coffee? How do you do this? And thank goodness I did realize why I can drink black coffee and others can't. And it boils down to this. I don't taste bitterness.
Exactly.
I actually did 23andMe, and it did say, you don't taste bitterness the way other people taste it. So,
but it might even be more palatable because you're not on sugar. And
you're right.
I try to tell people that all the time. If you're eating a ton of sugar, your taste buds are all messed up. You can't even enjoy a piece of fruit because it's like, well, that's not strong enough. I need ice cream instead of that apple or something. And it's like, no. Now you're pushing that to the side. So there's so much interesting stuff
you know, it's so interesting. I remember when I first got off sugar, and it wasn't, first 6 weeks. This was probably 6 months in, and I was able to eat an almond, and even to this day, and I could taste the sweetness in the almond. Mm-hmm. And people are like, you are crazy.
It's there.
You look, there's sugar in almonds.
Oh, yeah.
It's just,
you
first
can
of all,
taste
it's filled with fiber.
Yeah.
So it's just not, it's from a taste perspective, most people can't taste it unless you don't eat sugar. Yeah. But it's been the biggest game changer of my life is getting off sugar. And now I've just been over the last 5.5 years, I continue to refine it. I have personal goals when I hit 50, what I want to be able to achieve, and from a health and wellness perspective, and I'll achieve it. I mean,
of course
as long as I maintain a good, healthy attitude and lifestyle, it's like I'll do it.
Yeah. Well, this has been extremely enlightening. I always love spending time with you.
Hey,
so thank you for being here today.
No, thank you for having me.
I think, and the goal of giving tips to people out there, you're talking about can't help everybody. You can help. You're helping more right now because people are going to see this, they're going to hear it, and they're going to figure out what kind of changes to make. And someday I'll sit here and I'll iron out. Who I'd like to have on is Dee McCaffrey because she has it all ironed out with the food industry. Yep. She's been on several shows to talk about. Well, look at all this. What this is doing to your body? And then so it's very easily understandable.
Love to see that.
Of course. So we'll continue to help people, and we'll continue to move people towards entrepreneurialism or an entrepreneurial lifestyle, and help them break out of and especially if they want to get out there and help more people. They've got a passion. Let's help them do it. So
absolutely.
Thanks for spending the time.
And listen, I just wanted to add one more thing from an entrepreneurial perspective. Most people are so scared of failure. And my biggest learning aha moments that have changed my life is through failure. Mm-hmm. So any young entrepreneur out there, don't be afraid to fail.
Oh, of course.
I always say this, if you're going to fail quickly. And I'll give you a quick little story, and we got to wrap it up. But I just invested in this gaming company. And the guy was so concerned with taking the money that they've raised and just making sure that it can go for 2 or 3 years. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, this is a good thing. And I looked at him, I said, I'm okay. I'm not really okay with losing money. That's not the attitude that you should have. But I would rather lose money if you guys go after it and make the right decisions to spend the money wisely. Mm-hmm. Because if you're going to fail quickly. Yeah. Don't waste 3 years of your life chasing something that's just not going to happen. I mean, the guy's 39, great guy. His name's Chris. And he looked at me, he's like, and I said, I'm being dead serious. Anybody that wants you to take your cash and spread it out over the next 3 years and have mediocre success, I'm like, that's not what you need to do. So if you're going to fail quickly. Don't be afraid to fail. Success, from my perspective, is picking yourself up when you fail and keep going on.
You can probably bounce back from an abrupt failure versus something that wore you out for 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, you see it. If
I'm worn out, man.
You're like, I can't even get up because I'm just worn out.
Yeah.
If you're gonna fail quickly and get up and move on. So that's what I'd probably end with, because it's amazing how many people are just so scared of failure. Yeah. And I think a lot of it goes back to social media. Everybody has this persona on social media that everything is great, and I'm just like, be real. Failure happens.
I'm hoping we're on the brink of getting rid of all that, but I don't know.
Hey, I installed it. I installed it a long time ago. I mean, if you go out, I still have an account out there, but I am not active. Happiness has increased.
Right.
Because you know what? Hey, listen, this is what life's about. It's about connections.
I know.
It's about really
It's
having
a real
conversations.
connection.
You
Yeah,
know,
real conversation.
not just little tidbits. Hashtag this or.
And an investor is not really going to trust you if you're trying to find them all through that. You have to go and you have to meet
Absolutely.
them and show them that you're delivering something real.
Well, hey, going back to that, I mean, I get hit up on LinkedIn all the time. Hey, I want to do this, and it just becomes noise at that point.
Yeah.
So, but hey, I really appreciate you having me.
Of course.
This has been great. And,
Thank you so much for your time.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to Economic Fitness, and thanks for viewing and enjoying this great guest with me today. And we'll be back with more in the future. So we'll see you soon.